It is estimated that 67% of the world population will be living in cities by the year 2050. And as cities develop, building of enterprises takes center stage at the expense of farming because of its high monetary value. Kenya, and indeed Africa, is no exception to this phenomenon. Being East Africa's most developed city, Nairobi is a good case study. Technological advancements, rapid population growth, and instant developments means space is becoming severely limited as lands turn from being where food is grown and animals kept to where factories and industries rise, thus threatening the very well-being of the residents.
Studies have shown that 29% of the Nairobi residents, especially informal settlements, do suffer acute food shortages.
Food security means that all people at all times have access to food. And when we talk about access, we mean physical access, economic access, and economic access to food that is safe, sufficient, and meets their dietary needs.
Access to adequate quantities of nutritious food remain a challenge for many, especially in cities.
You'd even find kids coming to school carrying ugali with strong tea. And of course, if a parent packed ugali and strong tea, that clearly tells you this parent didn't have money for vegetables or for any stew.
Cities like Nairobi are changing rapidly, and the way the populations are fed will need to change as well. So, with the diminishing space, how can Africa's developing cities like Nairobi change the current food systems in ways that address these challenges?
One way is the adoption of urban farming technology that maximizes on the use of the limited space left.
They can use containers, plastic containers. They can use plastic bags. They can also use their rooftops. They clean utensils every day. This water, instead of it just being thrown out, it can be recycled by putting the water in the garden, the small gardens that they have.
Urban areas are characterized by dense population, especially in informal settlements. So, how does urban farming happen?
We recycle containers, the 5-liter containers. You just use your wall. If you don't have a space, you have a wall definitely. One container has about 4 seedlings, the top one. The below one has 3. We also have the corn gardens. The corn gardens take a small space because again they're going up. It's a corn. So you plant on all the spaces on the corn, and the corn can go up to the heavens again. And that means you're using a small space, but you're getting a lot of vegetables. We also have the box gardens. Like in this case, we've recycled timber and black polythene. So for people who are living in places that are cemented, that doesn't mean that they can't farm. All you need to do is make a good box, line it up with the polythene paper so that water doesn't seep from down, and then put soil that is mixed with manure and plant. All you'll be doing is watering and harvesting.
The sustainability of this model of farming lies in the recycling, reusing and reducing materials used as key conservatory methods used in this project, leaving no room for wastage.
We have the integrated system. The integrated system is whereby we have 3 components in one. We have fish below, we have poultry at the middle, and on top we have vegetables. So what happens there, everything is put to use. We have vegetables which are fed to the poultry. And from the poultry, we have droppings. The droppings are fed to the fish below. Then the water from the fish ponds, which are tanks in this case, goes back to the garden. Then the vegetables grow. Then again we feed the vegetables to the poultry.
How big?
They're this big.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a time I harvested a bigger one than my hand.
Inefficiencies in the food system, the networks that are needed to produce and transform food and ensure it reaches the consumers, leads to high prices and insufficient market supplies, limiting the availability of and access to foods, especially to low-income earners in the slums.
According to the World Food Programme report, an estimated 20 million people already faced acute food shortage in 9 countries, even before COVID-19 was reported in East Africa and the Horn. Now exacerbated by the socio-economic impact of the pandemic, that number could more than double, with the most vulnerable being the poor communities living in informal settlements. George Njoroge and Shakur Njeru are trainee beneficiaries of the Ruben Urban Farming Training and founding members of the Wandani Comprehensive Community Organization, VICO, in Nairobi's informal settlement area of Sinai. One of the organization's projects is urban farming, which they say has helped in easing the burden of hunger in their community.
Vile Covid ilianza, kulikuwa na challenge sana ya kuget dish kwa sababu gava ilifunga vitu mob, nakumbuka vitu mob zilifungwa, so dish haikuwa inafika.
Life ili change. Juu zile vitu tulikuwa tunategemea kwa kibanda zilikuja zikaisha. Watu walikuwa urban farming, yenye life yao ikuchange. Tuwezi sema ili change, kuchange. Juu mtu ilibaki tu ni kama venye alikuwa. Juu zile vitu zimefungiwa kutoka mbali, yako nazo hapa. Ilibaki nyinyi mna urban farming na mnaduyo ukulima, nyinyi ndio mtasaidia wasee. Na mtasaidia wale wasoko karibu na nyinyi kupata ile greens.
Kuna hizo familia zile most needy families kabisa. So tulikuwa tunazi-identify na zinakaa zinachuna mboga hapa. Wakichuna mboga, then at least hiyo ni kitu itawapatia something ya leo, maybe yako na kaunga pale atenda a mix na apate kitu ya kukula.
Farming in cities was previously prohibited under the Nuisance and Public Health bylaws. But with the adoption of Urban and Agriculture Promotion Bill of 2015, farmers now have legal platform to practice farming in the cities.
In Nairobi, when we talk about agriculture promotion and regulation, we are talking that we want profitable, sustainable, convenient, and clean agriculture. Promotion is important for food security, and regulation is also important to shake off the excesses of nuisance, of pollution, of actually inconveniencing other people.
We have the right to food in Kenya in the Constitution. However, what is lacking is a mechanism to implement that right. One way to address that issue would be if we're able to, as a country, come up with a Right to Food Act, which would then spell out the manner in which this right would be realized. So this Right to Food Act would also help to identify who should be held accountable for certain failures. So whether it's a national government or the county government, as well as come up with remedies to then address the issue effectively.
One sack carries about 40 seedlings. 40 seedlings of sukuma wiki or spinach can be harvested twice or thrice per week, depending with the size of the family. So when you do calculations, you'll find that a family is able to save about 80 shillings in a week. These people will have saved about 320 per month. This money can be used to supplement their food with something else. Say milk, instead of them taking strong tea, which they call strungi, this 320 can be used to probably be buying milk for 20 shillings, like every day. And now this family will be healthy and it will have saved.
For Kenya, just like other developing countries in Africa, agriculture remains the main economic driver. But over the years, it has become very vulnerable to climate change shocks. Unpredictable rainfall and recurring droughts contribute to the disruption of crops, which are mainly rain-fed. The country has serious levels of hunger, ranking 77 out of 119 countries with a score of 23.3%, according to the Global Hunger Index report of 2018. 2 out of every 10 Kenyans do not meet the required dietary needs that can sustain a healthy and productive life. Malnutrition remains unacceptably high, with 29% of children in rural areas and 20% of those living in cities stunted. Statistics paints a gloomy picture on urban food security. But if addressed properly through such initiatives like the Ruben Urban Farming Center, it can create a platform to increase economic opportunity, improve the health of the residents, and build environmentally sustainable cities.
The other thing that cities need to have is a good plan of a food system, from production to aggregation to distribution to consumption. When you are planning an estate or a dwelling place, have at least 30% set aside for local food production.
One major challenge that we are facing, or Kenya is dealing with right now, is in regards to food safety. You might have some healthy looking sukuma wiki or vegetables in the market, but the manner in which they've been produced is actually a risk or poses as a danger to your health. The eventual consumer who's going to eat this food might not be aware that actually what they are consuming is heavily laced with chemicals that are not fit for their consumption.
People are trying to run away from the chemical world. People are now starting to appreciate organic farming. And the only way to be sure that what you're eating is organic is for you to plant your own. If everybody will have a small garden for themselves, then we'll have said goodbye to hunger.
According to Global Index report of 2018, Kenya is among the countries that still grapple with food insecurity. It is estimated that 1 in every 3 Kenyans still faces severe food insecurity and poor nutrition. Statistics like this are the clear indicator why projects like this need to be supported and replicated across the country in order to promote food and nutrition security.